Hey everyone, and welcome back to Timeless Knowledge Discoveries, the podcast where we explore fascinating corners of history, science, and how the world works. I'm your host, Noah Lobby. Have you ever wondered, when you hear about the Prime Minister or decisions being made in Ottawa, how exactly did those people get there? It's not like winning a lottery or inheriting a throne in the old days. Canada is a democracy, which means rule by the people. But how do we, the people, actually choose who leads the country and forms the government? It sounds complex, maybe even a little intimidating, but stick with me. Today, we're going to unravel the process of how the Canadian federal government is formed, piece by piece. Think of it like building with Legos. Different blocks click together to create the final structure. We'll break it down so clearly, you'll be explaining it to your friends and family by the end of this episode. Why is this important? Because understanding how our government works is the first step to participating in it, to having your voice heard, and to shaping the future of the country we live in. So, grab your virtual thinking caps, get comfortable, and let's dive into the heart of Canadian democracy. All right, before we get into elections and parties, let's quickly understand the type of system Canada has. It's got a few key labels. 1. Constitutional monarchy. This sounds fancy, right? It basically means we have a king or queen as our official head of state, currently King Charles III. They are represented in Canada by the Governor-General. Now, the monarch and Governor-General have important symbolic and constitutional roles, like giving final approval, royal assent, to laws, but they don't get involved in day-to-day governing or political decisions. Think of them as the ceremonial guardians of the system. 2. Parliamentary democracy. This is the core of it all. It means we elect representatives to a parliament, and the government, the Prime Minister and Cabinet, must have the confidence, meaning the support of the elected House of Commons. The leader of the government, the Prime Minister, is our head of government, the person actually running the show, making policy decisions with their team. So, head of state, king or governor-general, equals symbolic figurehead. Head of government, Prime Minister, equals active political leader. 3. Federation. This just means Canada is a big country made up of provinces and territories, each with their own governments that have specific powers, like healthcare and education. Today, we're focusing only on the federal government, the one based in Ottawa that deals with national issues like defense, foreign affairs, currency, and national laws. So, remember those three things: constitutional monarchy, parliamentary democracy, and federation. Got it? Great. Because now we need to figure out how we get those elected representatives in the first place. The foundation of forming a government is the federal election. Think of it as Canada's biggest job interview, where millions of citizens are the hiring committee. By law, federal elections in Canada are generally held on a fixed date, the third Monday of October, 4 years after the last one. However, an election can happen earlier if the government loses a major confidence vote in the House of Commons. We'll touch on that later. Or if the Prime Minister asks the Governor-General to dissolve Parliament and call an early election. Now, Canada is divided into 343 geographic areas called electoral districts, also known as ridings or constituencies. Imagine Canada as a giant puzzle, and each riding is one piece. Each riding gets to elect one person to represent them in the House of Commons in Ottawa. There are 343 seats in the House of Commons, one for each electoral district. Who gets to vote? To vote in a federal election, you need to be a Canadian citizen, be at least 18 years old on election day, and be registered to vote. It's a fundamental right and responsibility. On election day, voters go to polling stations in their riding. They receive a ballot listing the names of the candidates running in their specific electoral district. Most candidates belong to a political party like the Liberals, Conservatives, NDP, Bloc Québécois, Green Party, etc., though some run as independents. The voter secretly marks their choice for one candidate on the ballot and puts it in the ballot box. So, the votes are cast, the polls close, what happens next? How do we go from millions of individual votes to knowing who won? Canada uses an electoral system called First Past the Post (FPTP) for federal elections. Imagine a race. The runner who crosses the finish line first wins, even if they didn't get more than half the cheers from the crowd. In each of the 343 electoral districts, the candidate who receives the most votes, even if it's not over 50%, wins that riding and becomes the MP for that area. It's simple, yes, but it also means a candidate can win with, say, 35% of the vote if the other votes are split among several other candidates. Once all the votes are counted across the country, we see how many seats, or ridings, each political party has won. The goal for a party is to win the majority of the seats in the House of Commons. With the total number of seats currently at 343, to get a majority government, a party needs to win more than half of these seats. Half of 343 is 171.5. Since you can't have half a seat, a party needs at least 172 seats to form a majority. That's the magic number. If one party wins 172 seats or more, things are relatively straightforward. Their leader is almost certainly going to become, or remain, the Prime Minister. Why? Because they have enough MPs from their own party to pass laws and win important votes in the House of Commons without needing help from other parties. They have the confidence of the House automatically. But what happens if no single party wins that magic number of 172 seats? That leads us to a very common scenario in Canadian politics. When no single party wins 172 or more seats, we have what's called a minority government. This is where things get interesting. The party that won the most seats, even if it's less than 172, usually gets the first chance to try and form the government. Their leader will likely be asked by the Governor-General to become Prime Minister. And this is a big but to stay in power and pass laws. This minority government needs the support of MPs from other parties on important votes, especially on budget bills and the speech from the throne, which outlines the government's plans. These are considered confidence votes. If the government loses a confidence vote, it usually means they have lost the confidence of the House and an election is triggered. So, in a minority situation, the governing party has to negotiate, compromise, and sometimes make deals with other parties to get their support. This can lead to more collaboration between parties, changes to government plans to appease other parties, a less stable government, as the threat of losing a confidence vote and triggering an election is always looming. Think of it like trying to build that Lego structure again, but this time you don't have all the pieces you need of your favorite color. You need to borrow some different colored bricks from your friends, the other parties, to complete your project. Sometimes they'll lend them freely, sometimes you have to promise them something in return, and sometimes they might just say no. Rarely, two or more parties might formally agree to govern together in a coalition government, sharing cabinet positions. This is different from a minority government where one party governs, but relies on informal support from others. Coalitions are quite rare in Canadian federal politics, but they are another possibility. So, whether it's a majority or minority, the leader of the party that can command the confidence of the House gets the top job. But who helps them run the country? Once it's clear which party leader can command the confidence of the House of Commons, either by winning a majority or having enough support in a minority situation, the Governor-General plays a key constitutional role. The Governor-General formally summons the leader of that party and invites them to form a government and become Prime Minister. While this usually follows election results clearly, the Governor-General does have some discretion, especially in very messy minority situations. though they almost always follow established conventions and act on the advice of political leaders. Once appointed, the Prime Minister, often called the PM, isn't a solo act. They choose a team of advisors and administrators from their fellow MPs, and sometimes senators, to head the various government departments. This team is called the Cabinet. Cabinet ministers are responsible for specific areas, called portfolios. You will have a Minister of Finance, a Minister of Health, a Minister of Foreign Affairs, a Minister of Environment, and so on. They oversee their departments, propose laws related to their area, and answer questions in Parliament. The Prime Minister and the Cabinet together form the executive branch of government. They are the ones who develop policies, propose laws, and make the day-to-day decisions about running the country. They are accountable to the House of Commons, meaning they have to answer questions and justify their actions to the elected MPs. But what about the parties that didn't win enough seats to form the government? Do they just go home? Absolutely not. They have a vital role to play. In our parliamentary system, the party that wins the second highest number of seats is officially called His Majesty's Loyal Opposition. The term loyal is important. It signifies that while they oppose the government's policies, they are still loyal to the Crown and the country. The opposition's job is crucial for a healthy democracy. Their main roles are to question and criticize. They challenge the government's decisions, point out flaws in proposed laws, and ask tough questions during the daily question period in the House of Commons. This holds the government accountable for its actions. To offer alternatives, they present different ideas and policies, showing the public that there are other ways to approach issues. To be a government in waiting, they aim to show Canadians that they are ready and able to form the next government if given the chance in a future election. Think of the government as the driver of the car and the opposition as the passenger with the map and a critical eye on the road. They might say, "Are you sure this is the fastest route?" Or "Did you see that pothole back there?" Or "Maybe we should have turned left instead." This dialogue, this scrutiny, is essential to prevent the government from becoming too powerful or making mistakes without consequence. Other parties with fewer seats also play a role in holding the government accountable. Okay, we've covered the core process. Now, how about a few quick, fun tidbits about Canadian political history? History always leaves behind some fascinating stories. Did you know? Canada's first PM, Sir John A. Macdonald, was Canada's very first Prime Minister back in 1867 when Canada became a country. He actually served 2 separate terms for a total of nearly 19 years. Shortest stint. The shortest-serving Prime Minister was Sir Charles Tupper, who held the job for just 69 days in 1896, right before an election he subsequently lost. Talk about a temp job. Tide ridings. Believe it or not, in the past, if candidates in a riding tied in votes, the winner used to be decided by the returning officer, the election official in charge, casting the deciding vote, or sometimes even by a coin toss. Thankfully, rules have changed, and now a judicial recount happens, and if it's still tied, a whole new election is held just in that riding. Women's suffrage. It took time for everyone to get the vote. Most Canadian women gained the right to vote federally in 1918, but Indigenous peoples faced further delays and exclusions, with universal suffrage for all adult citizens regardless of race not fully realized until 1960. A reminder that democracy is an evolving process. These little facts remind us that our system has a history and has changed over time. But why does understanding all of this really matter to you and me today? Let's bring this to the present. In April 2025, Canada held a federal election that was anything but ordinary. Leadership change. Former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau stepped down, leading to a leadership race within the Liberal Party. Mark Carney, a former central banker with no prior elected experience, emerged as the new leader and subsequently became Prime Minister. Election results: the Liberal Party, under Carney's leadership, won 169 seats, just shy of the 172 needed for a majority, resulting in a minority government. Opposition dynamics: the Conservative Party, led by Pierre Poilievre, gained 144 seats. Notably, Poilievre lost his own seat in Carleton to Liberal candidate Bruce Fanjoy. External influences: the election was heavily influenced by external factors, including US President Donald Trump's aggressive trade policies and comments suggesting Canada could become the 51st state. These remarks galvanized Canadian nationalism and played a significant role in the Liberals' resurgence. We've gone through the journey. Elections choose MPs based on electoral districts using first-past-the-post. Parties tally their seats. The party that can command the confidence of the House, majority requiring 172 seats, or minority, forms the government. The Governor-General appoints their leader as Prime Minister, who then selects a cabinet. The other parties form the opposition, holding the government accountable. Understanding this process isn't just academic trivia. It's about understanding power, who holds it, how they got it, and how they are held accountable. It's about knowing how your vote for your local representative contributes to the bigger picture of forming the government. When you hear news about debates in Parliament, new laws being proposed, or the government facing a confidence vote, you now have the framework to understand what's happening and why it matters. Being an informed citizen is crucial. Knowing how the government is formed empowers you to make informed choices when you vote, or when you become eligible to vote. Understand political news and discussions more deeply. Engage in constructive conversations about how our country is run. Recognize the importance of participation, whether it's voting, contacting your MP, or simply staying aware. Democracy isn't a spectator sport. It requires informed and engaged citizens. Knowing how the pieces fit together is the first, essential step. So there you have it, a breakdown of how Canada's federal government comes to be. From the individual voter marking a ballot in their local electoral district, to the intricate dance of majority and minority parliaments, it's a system built on representation and accountability. It might not be perfect, but understanding it is key to appreciating and participating in our democracy. Key takeaways today: we vote for local MPs in 343 electoral districts. The party with the confidence of the House of Commons, needing 172 seats for a majority, forms the government, led by the Prime Minister and Cabinet. Majority governments have more power to pass laws easily, while minority governments require cooperation. And the opposition plays a vital role in scrutinizing the government. What part of this process did you find most surprising or interesting? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing your thoughts and questions. If you found this episode insightful or learned something new, please give it a like, it really helps the channel. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our future explorations on timeless knowledge discoveries. Thanks for joining me, Noah Lobby, on this journey through Canadian civics. Keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep discovering. Until next time.